Welcome back, everyone. Good to see everyone here. First and foremost, wanted to express our thanks to all the men and women in the country on Veterans Day for the sacrifices they make for the freedoms we enjoy in this democracy, and also it being a military appreciation game coming up. I thought that was very appropriate, so I wanted to say thanks to all the people who work hard, in our armed services. Very excited to be heading into the bye week. Coming off of the Arkansas game, a very big win. Had a couple of very good developmental practices. As we talked about last week, focusing on our young guys and fundamentals and technique, and getting them better. Certainly with all the talent that we have in our freshman and redshirt freshman classes, it was great to see those guys working. Did a good self scout. Looking at the things we've done the past 4 games. Hit the recruiting trail on Thursday and Friday between the 10 coaches and myself. We hit 89 schools and attended 15 games, and then got a good jump start on our Alabama game plan. From a player of the week and student athlete of the week standpoint, on offense for the Arkansas game, it was Kylan Hill. Defense, it was Marcus Murphy, and then special teams was Jace Chrisman. Our scouts were Kareem Walker for the offense, Cody Swanson for the defense, and then J.P. Purvis for special teams. And then for the student athletes of the week it was Darryl Williams and Colin Duncan. So heading into the Alabama game, obviously one of the top teams in the country. Not going to go into head coach and coordinator and stats and a bunch of things like that. Those are over there in the corner, so you guys can, piece through those and get the information that you need. But, obviously excited for the opportunity to be back home after 28 days, playing in front of the best fans in the country, in an unbelievable atmosphere and a great home field advantage. So we're certainly, excited to have the opportunity to play this game. From a mindset standpoint, I don't, talking to the kids, at the beginning of the week and, after practice, that we feel that we're to win this game, we're not going to have to do anything extraordinary. We're going to have to do the ordinary extraordinarily well. And, we're going to have a great week of practice. We're going to have to take care of the little things on and off the field, and it's got to be a great week, of the culture that we're working on every single day and the things we, focus on and stress with our kids, being discipline, accountability, work ethic, attention, detail, and selflessness, where you care more about the team than you do about yourself. All those little things are going to matter against a team of this caliber. And, quite frankly, we're going to have to compete our tails off against what's been the standard in this league. And when you talk about making the choice to come to Mississippi State and compete in the SEC, there's no better opportunity in this game, quite frankly. And individually, as a player, you're going to get to go against some of the other best players in the country to see where you stack up. As an offensive, a defense, and a special teams unit, you're going against one of the best or 3 of the best in the country. And then certainly from a program standpoint, this is the team for the greater part of the last decade that everyone's been working to knock off. So certainly very excited. It's going to be an awesome opportunity. Our kids are fired up for practice this week. Coaches are excited to game plan. Like I said, great to get back home after 28 days, and we're excited to tee this thing up, and we're going to play our tails off. So with that, any questions?
Start with Joel and then go to Garrett.
Obviously, you may be wanting to keep it close to the vest, don't know, but your quarterback situation this week, given how well Tommy played in his last outing, I know Garrett's had some health issues too. Yep. Anything to announce there as far as a starter, or just what your plans may be at quarterback?
Yeah, we're listed as an or right now, and the good news is that Garrett's back to being, completely healthy. So we went through practice yesterday. Both the guys got reps. Tommy got most of the ones with the ones and Garrett with the twos. But we're going to continue to progress it through and see how Garrett's kind of coming along. And obviously, I think the Arkansas game was the first one where Tommy was completely healthy for quite a time. So seeing him throw it accurately, create explosive plays, and more than anything, seeing him run the ball was good. So we'll keep practicing them, keep giving them reps during the week, and maybe one, maybe the other, maybe both. So we'll just see how it goes.
Joe, in the LSU game, you came out aggressive with some trick plays early and kind of played like you guys had nothing to lose. Is the plan to come out and keep that same aggression early?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you talk about what you want the identity of the offensive, defense, and special teams to be. It's where you're the hammer, not the nail. And I think in a game where maybe I guess we're 3 touchdown underdogs at home to one of the top teams in the conference and in the country, I don't think you could go in playing not to lose. I think you have to go into the game trying to win. So whatever we need to do by hook or by crook in all 3 phases, if it's trick plays, if it's not trick plays, if it's doing what we do normally, even better. But we're not, like I said, we're not going to go into this game cautious. We're not going to go into it nervous. We're not going to go in scared. We're going to go into win the game.
Steve, then Brian.
Coach, it's interesting, the emotional aspect of football. A lot of people say, well, you'd like to have a team like that coming off a win or coming off a loss, and you kind of not sure how they're going to be motivated. What is your line of thinking when it comes to that sort of thing? Does it really make any difference?
In terms of Alabama coming off of the loss to LSU?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It could go one either ways, and I'm guessing based on their coaching staff and their players and kind of their culture that they're going to come in and have a singleness of purpose and, look to bounce back strong. So I don't think, in my mind, we're not anticipating any lingering effect or any kind of hangover or anything where, they're kind of, got their chins on their chest. I know what Coach Saban's going to, stress to the team, or I would imagine. I know what he's going to stress to the team and, the type of players they have and their coaching staff. So, we're expecting their best, and they're going to get our best as well.
You talked a second ago about being an underdog. What does underdog mentality mean to you? How do you coach your team when they are the underdog?
I think it's something where, I think you have to address it, but I don't think you necessarily harp on it or make it a major deal. I think you talk about singleness of purpose and playing to a standard regardless of who's across the ball from you, that if you take care of your preparation during the week, you play exceedingly hard, and you execute with high precision, you're going to have a chance regardless of who the opponent is. I think when it comes to necessarily the underdog, mindset, it probably goes more towards what the margin of error is. So in a game against a team like Alabama's, pedigree, there's not going to be many opportunities. Like you look back to the LSU game and you lose a turnover battle 3-1 or 3-0, whatever it was. That's something in a game, against Alabama that you can't do and expect to win it.
You've already seen a prolific receiving core in LSU and kind of similar challenge to what Alabama brings. How do those compare, and is there anything you can draw from that sort of experience to what you'll see on Saturday?
Yeah, I think they're, you watch the LSU-Alabama game, and they put kind of some of the numbers up. I think statistically they're probably pretty even, and they probably even go 4 deep when you include Waddle in there. But, Coach Sarkisian does a great job mixing kind of RPO spread and pro-style concepts. They got one of the top quarterbacks, Heisman candidate in the backfield throwing them the ball. They protect it up very well, and, all 4 guys can stretch the field horizontally, vertically, and make people miss. So I think it will be as tough of a challenge as the LSU game was.
Kind of going off of that, watching LSU and Alabama last week, and you guys having already played LSU, and it seemed like the defensive game plan was pretty good. You guys disrupted them, especially in that first half. How similar do you expect the game plan to be, and can you do some similar things against Alabama as to what you did against LSU?
Yeah, hopefully we could replicate what we did in the first half against LSU outside of, the one busted coverage there at the tail end following the interception. And then when it goes back to Brian's question about, going into the game as an underdog and what you need to do to win the game or stay in it, those are the things that you can't do. Being 1 score down against LSU, turning the ball over, and then, cutting a guy loose in coverage to go into the half down, whatever it was, 14 instead of 7. But I think, they're probably a little bit different schematically. LSU and Alabama, you see some, different formations and kind of, different concepts than LSU ran. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about, it's about tackling, it's about covering guys, it's about being physical at the line of scrimmage. And so if we're able to do some of the things that we did in the first half against LSU, who's obviously one of the top offenses in the country, that'll give us an opportunity.
Obviously, the numbers you put up against Arkansas, a lot of people will look at that and end the sentence, well, it was Arkansas. But from a confidence standpoint, how much did that give your guys showing what they can do when things are executing right, and how much can you carry that over into Alabama?
Yeah, I think when you kind of look at it, from an eye test and certainly a numbers standpoint, when you look at, SEC-only games from a statistical standpoint offensively, I think we're 7th in the conference right now in scoring offense, where last year we were towards the bottom. And same thing with passing offense and rushing offense. I guess over the last 2 games, 54 and 30. So, that's 42 a game, and, have had some decent outputs against, some other teams in the conference. But I think you can see we're continuing to grow every single week. And, obviously it's a huge challenge against a defense of this caliber, very well coached, a lot of talent on all 3 levels. But I think, I don't want to say necessarily hitting stride, but, every week we continue to grow. Our kids are gaining more and more confidence in what we're doing. And I think as it's year 2 in the offense, you're seeing some of those things from a growth standpoint that are, showing up on game day.
Coach, Rickey Davis obviously is one of the best defensive linemen in the country. Just talk about his impact on any game he plays and and just what your opinion is of him.
No, I mean 6'7", 320 pounds. Incredibly athletic, very stout against the point of attack. Uses his hands very well. A disruptor or a game wrecker. Versus the run and the pass. And you kind of put him inside when you have 24 and 33 on the edges. He's obviously a local kid, and he's going to continue to do a very good job at this level, and have a great opportunity to play for a long time on Sunday. So he's a heck of a football player.
You got a couple of former assistants on Alabama staff. Just what will it be like to see those guys on Saturday, and what insight do you think they might be able to provide for the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's friends with Jasmine, still goes to high school. I mean, Brian and Charles are great people, you know what I mean? And certainly, we wish them the best every week, but this week, I kind of still correspond with Charles, talk to him a little bit, maybe a little less with Bake, but, we'll shake hands on pregame, wish each other luck, fight like heck during the game, and then see each other after the game. So for 60 minutes, we're going to be enemies, but before that, we'll be cordial.
Coach, 2 years ago, a lot of people felt Mississippi State should have won the ball game against Alabama. Last year, you're a couple plays away from really being in the ball game after a great defensive effort. What kind of confidence does a team draw from that? Really, actually played Alabama pretty close the last 2 years.
Yeah, I think the confidence is in the sense that when you prepare well, when you play hard, and you execute with precision, you're going to give yourself an opportunity against any team you play. And certainly, defensively, I think we played very well last year. Had some opportunities on offense. Had a couple scores called back. That could have changed the game early in the first half. And then, 2 years ago, I think it was a 7-point game, heading into the fourth. So, just like LSU, just like Auburn and, other games on the schedule, our kids are going to go in with a high degree of confidence and a level of confidence that's earned through our preparation and how hard we play and how well we execute rather than who the opponent is.
With that, obviously, with last year, they couldn't get into the end zone or find any points last year. But is there anything you can take from looking at a film from last year's game against Alabama to this year? Or how do you kind of take a game like that and see, maybe what didn't work on offense and what you can apply to this?
Yeah, we included that game in our breakdown. We usually have, four that you put in the breakdown plus your own game from the previous year. And, there were certainly things last year from a schematic standpoint that were dialed up pretty well, and had we executed a little bit better, would have gave us a chance to score some points. And, you take the things that you did that were good and continue to work and build on them, and, certainly going to put I won't say new and different game plan together, but a lot of it's based on your personnel and what they can do. Right? I always tell our guys, it's not what we know, it's what the players can execute. So we'll take the things that we can glean, the information from last year's game, continue to work on those, and add it to the game plan that we're putting together this year, and hopefully continue to get the offense rolling.
Coach, just talking about the defense and job of Coach Shoup's done after losing all those draft picks. Just now that we've reached this point of the season, your evaluation of that side of the ball under his leadership.
Yeah, 8 starters, the entire defensive line, and then the 3 primary backups behind the nose guard and the defensive tackle position, and then 3 of the 4 on the back end. Linebacker core, returned intact, but obviously we had, a bunch of things prior to the season which hurt our depth. So I think we've seen continued growth and development, improvement throughout the season. And a lot of guys, as we've talked about before, playing primary roles when maybe, they hadn't before, either as an upperclassman or a new player on the field. So, particularly with the young interior defensive linemen, I think we're seeing a ton of growth there with Fabian and Crumity and, Nathan Pickering getting a bunch of reps. And then even more so on the back end with Martin and Jarion and those guys, and some of the young linebackers that are getting time. So the older guys who haven't played, the younger guys who are new to the game. So every rep in practice, every rep during the game, I think we're going to continue to see our guys get better and better.
Going back to the quarterbacks, with the depth chart saying and then with both of them being pretty much as healthy as they've been all year, is it truly a toss-up at this point? Is it are they both considered QB1s essentially?
QB 1A and 1B, I guess, and I think that's what I won't say latitude, but when their skill sets really don't differ that much, Tommy, from an experience standpoint, has seen more things during the course of his career, and heading into a game of an opponent of this caliber, I keep saying that, that you could fall back a little bit on that experience, whereas Garrett's doing probably some different and unique things with his feet in an improvisational standpoint. So, going to need both of them like we have, throughout the season. But, listed as an or, but we'll continue to hammer it out during the week and see where it goes.
Kind of on the health standpoint a little bit there, but Jarian, of course, was a little banged up at Arkansas a couple weeks ago and stuff, and Stu and some other guys. But any guys that were banged up in the Arkansas game a couple weeks later now that back full health, or what's kind of their status?
Yeah, I think through the bye week we've done a good job. Talk to the guys about rehabbing physically and recharging mentally. And aside from Cam Young, who I think we discussed with a lower body, who'll be out for the year, the rest of the guys who were kind of bumps and bruises and nicked up, and heading into week 9, we're anticipating getting most of those guys back, including Jarion. So from a health standpoint, we're relatively we're better than we were coming out of the game.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit in your opening statement, but just talk about military appreciation games, what it means to you. 'Cause your dad was in the service, correct?
Yeah, he was in the Army.
So just talk a little bit more about that and what it means to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's freedom isn't free, and for people to, let's say, make the sacrifices that they do to ensure that like people in this country can enjoy the fruits of democracy. I mean, that means a lot, and it's something where I think you really can't be thankful enough for those kind of, so where I'm looking for, kind of selfless acts of people to be able to provide for the greater good, and certainly that's something that myself and our staff and our team are really going to show our appreciation for on Saturday.
Just how big's Darryl Williams been for you on the offensive line? Just shifting to center this year, and just what's he kind of meant to this offense, and just his leadership and the things that you've seen out of Darryl this year?
Yeah, I mean, consummate student athlete. With Dion and Elton graduating, and Darryl, moving into center, kind of being the eyes and ears of the operation, voted team captain. So obviously he has the confidence of his teammates, and does a great job in the classroom. All the things that you want from an offensive lineman: intelligent, tough, disciplined, great work ethic. Someone who can inspire his teammates. I think Darryl combines all those characteristics, and it'll continue to benefit him. Here at Mississippi State, if he gets an opportunity to the next level, which we're all anticipating, and then when football ends, he'll be a great husband, great father, and great businessman as well.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Hail State.